Sri Duta Padakamalang
Hello.
Sri Gurum Vaishnavang Sri Rupam
Hello. I thought I would introduce today's presentation with a little bit of music. I've talked a lot about how the system that I talk about draws from many different religions, from the mystic aspect, from the love that is a relationship between your dramatic self and the inner artist. And one of the interesting things that we were listening to Srila Prabhupada, the leader of Hare Krishnas, and before he died, they say still is. But yeah, one of the things he said that there's so many ways in which this kind of conversation can take place, where you can experience what's inside you, the amazing wonder that you are. You don't want to miss that in life. What I'm telling you is encapsulated pretty much in what a physicist said about the universe. That we are the universe, knowing itself. Well, now that our studies of different kinds of intelligence, so there are many perspectives on the universe. We are a set. Now, the universe then is trying to discover itself. This point of view. It can never get complete. It can't get complete. It can't get outside of itself to see. So it's an echo inside. It's a mirroring inside what's going on. You've got all these perspectives feeding this awareness, and it's exponential. So what I've got to say is that within yourself, what is the inner artist? The inner artist is like the universe, but your universe, which is held completely in your brain. Your brain is your higher power. Your personification of that supreme reality, which is your brain. And that isn't to say that there isn't more to consciousness in just the brain, but it is at least that. And our perspective of that is from our dramatic self, and part of ourselves that experiences the world in terms of our survival needs, which can be very emotional and relate to what's painful and what's pleasant. It's said that by Srila Prabhupada, in this particular religion, Krishna, in this mythology, Krishna is that inner artist. When you envision that, well, it's your envisioning. Yeah? And it's your brain giving you this idea of Christian. Just like if you're a Christian, your brain is giving you the notion of who Jesus is. Or a Buddhist, who Buddha is. So, and Muhammad may peace be upon him, it's kind of a representation of your dramatics, that which is surrendered completely to the supreme reality. Well, this is an attempt of yourself to know yourself fully. It's like the universe is trying, and you can never get to the full picture because you can't get outside. You can't see the boundaries because that's it. The universe is it for the universe. Your brain is it for you. So you're inside. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not getting information from outside or that isn't real. It's just that your brain in self-realization is what you're trying to realize. And the brain is your higher power. It is your inner artist. An interesting thing that Prabhupada said was that when you chanted Krishna's name, and Krishna was dancing on your tongue. Yeah. And the Pentecostals, where they dropped into an experience of speaking in tongues, say the name of Jesus over and over again. It's so typical. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Focusing on Jesus. The Buddhists, we focus on Buddha as the supreme, ultimate reality, the personification of it. So it's kind of funny that these religions all actually complement each other, but and reflect how your brain works. Okay. This transcendent part of you is inner artist can help you in your daily life. You can communicate from your dramatic self to this personification. Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. What does that mean? That means you're seeing an image. It's like the inner artist is your, however you personify that, is you seeing it or connected. If you've seen that, you've seen the brain. Kind of, but not completely. But you have seen. And so if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. It would be like Krishna saying, if you see me, you've seen Brahma. So, and, okay. So this is a beautiful picture. And there are three dialogues that I talk about, which I mentioned in other videos. And they're about communicating between yourself and your drama, in your dramatic timeline. Sorry about that light in the guy. So time I move, that's not halo. I'm not any kind of angel. We're saying. Okay. And objectivity is important. It's one way that you can use to meet human need. And meeting human needs as for social creature involves some empathy. So I say that the empathy has to be turned inside. And that's the practice of inner artist mindfulness. You have the sense of being outside, which is in theology that's about being transcendent and immanent. Well, here it is. Your symbolization of the brain is kind of transcendent to the part of the brain that is experiencing your dramatic timeline, your story, your life. You're in it, feeling. To get above it is to see, as the yogis say, the whole picture of your life. And it's always in heaven because it's enjoying the movie. And you're the star of that movie. You're the main character. It's like in your dreams, you're the main character. Your daydreams, you're the main character. Sometimes I talk about this process as a daylight dreams. Okay, you're focusing empathy inward. I noticed I mentioned that the religions are complementary. How so? And I've mentioned that it's similar to the perspectives I talked about in meeting your human needs. So the Buddha is very much about an objective kind of meeting of needs. That's the main focus, right? Jesus, it's more about compassion. You know, no one loves more than this. They will give up their life for a friend. And I've told you, friends, compassion. A Christian, God at play, is more symbolic of the creative empathy. So you've got the objective empathy, which helps you from the present, where you are in the present, looking forward into the future, and it helps you with anxieties about that. You get that a lot from therapists can help you with that. And so don't make fun of talkie therapy. It's useful. Now, the compassionate empathy is more about the present situation you're in, looking into the past. And it's there that you relive the past. Because empathy brings out feeling very strongly. It makes it safe for you to feel. So the things you haven't felt the need to feel are going to come up more when you're using that dialogue between your dramatic self, which I call the inner child, or the inner kid, and your compassionate empathy. These are ways of meeting human need. Okay, up above, I've got a line in my head, there's this line. Here you are in the middle, and over this way, let's say that's your objective empathy. It's just a more together adult that you can be, most objective. And over here on the other end of that line, you're in the middle. On the other end of that line, having to do more with the present, looking into the past, is the compassionate. Now that's in the timeline, your dramatic timeline. So you've got to remember that your inner artist is the creator of all you imagine, including your own self-concept. And that self-concept, well, that's that perspective that you take when you're feeling what's happening to you or what's happened to you. And that has helped with empathy. Now, up above that, of course, is the inner artist that I talked about, which is the creator of all of these perspectives. Okay, the creator of the whole daylight dream. And in a sense, it is transcendent, your vision of the transcendent, even though there really can't be a fully transcendent, nor a fully immanent. These are only existing because in terms of a relationship with each other, a kind of perceived distance. Bigger picture, smaller, personal, more dramatic picture or experience. Now, this transcendent, in this sense, has become immanent in you, but also in your objective empathy, which, let's say, that's your most adult self. And in your Buddha nature. And then here in the past, there is the compassionate empathy. And that's kind of, that's kind of your Jesus nature, your Christ nature. So, and it's your inner artist that reaches down and becomes that for you, your caregiver, your compassionate empathy. And up above that, there's the transcendent, the creative. See, you've got to get outside of the whole picture to be creative with. And so that's and when you're having these dialogues, you are both immanent and transcendent in your brain, which is symbolic of the immanence and transcendence of the consciousness of the entire universe. Now, if that doesn't make you go, wow, then well, what would? So, this pattern is incredibly important to understand. Underneath it is your experience of the infant mind, your more bodily experience, but your experience without language, before language changes you, your communication in a social way. And that grows. Your ability to have strong empathy grows with you from the moment you're born and maybe before. But right away, the professionals, it's not before this particular age here. Correct, as far as what we can measure. There are stages of empathy for a human being reaching, certain ages or general ages in which of empathy grows. It grows with you. But what is that empathy based upon? Well, it's based upon those skills you had without an ego concept, your infant mind, when you were experiencing things without a self concept, just interacting with your situation, right? Not really much of a sense of self, not in any ego's concept. So getting in touch with that is what brings you to these. Your mind goes a little crazy, so it's like, gee, I really don't have an unchanging self there. It's an illusion. It's your Zen realization. Now, Jesus' realization is where you experience through compassion a oneness with everything. That's, both talk about it, this thing's blur. But that's basically how that works. And your mind just coping with the experience of memory. And someone said, oh, that's enlightenment. Well, personal growth is the closest thing we're going to get to enlightenment. And we grow in all our lives, so it's not that you suddenly, you know it all. Nobody knows it all. We're always interdependent. Everything's relative, related. So what we have to see in this picture is, how did this evolve? Well, the infant has the ability to focus on its feelings and emotions. Doesn't have language, but it has focus. What does focus evolve into? It is socially developing human being. Well, it develops into objective empathy. Just listen to a classroom. When the teachers are saying, paying attention. By the way, are you paying attention to what I'm saying? I hope so. Say so in the comments. All right. Let me know that there's echo, that you're getting what I'm saying. If you don't, ask me a question. Or go to the Facebook group by the same name in the artist mindfulness. There, myself, or hopefully any of some of my students might have some things to say. And not just those people. I hope to engage brain scientists and therapists and others involved with this process, and get their perspectives. And hopefully that will be a place of teaching, not just a place where I've been putting some of my lousy being from the really developed videos. Okay. And I hope you're not bored to tears by this time. I'm doing my best to keep you intrigued. Now, again, the ability to focus, something your infant mind, your infant self can do. It can be at play. It can experience things differently. It can be, you can be at play. You can focus or not focus. You can focus in this way or that. You can express this way or that way. When the baby babbles, it's doing that. And that ability to be at play with what your feelings that you're focusing is what develops into the social skill of creating. That's how you get baseball. Everything. It's this the ability to create. But that evolved from your ability to see things from a lot of different perspectives and to be clever. I think music fits in there somewhere. Mention that in comments if there's research about the impact of music. Okay. And I use that in my techniques. Yes, that's part of the way that you play with the emotions and feelings in the infant mind. And this practice, which I call inner artist mindfulness. Now, you talk about the ability to express feelings. Well, the ability to express feelings is aided by what? The safety to feel and express, which is provided by compassionate empathy. When we feel compassionate empathy, we feel safe to express our feelings very deeply. So these three things work together, and you end up we start with focus, you go to play, and then you go to the full, the expression. And there are techniques for each of these things. Now, this is a big picture here. It also explains society to a certain degree. And I've talked about that in other videos. But essentially, the institutions that society has are connected to these social perspectives that I'm talking about, the language perspectives. And so the dramatic self, the inner child, is that part of you that's most in connection to reality, most impacted emotionally, and survival. And that's business. That's trade. There's no free trade without fair trade. How do you get that? Well, we get that from good governance, for one thing. And governance is like the objective entity in you, that institution. And extended family organizations, support groups, things like that. Extended family organizations are more about compassionate empathy. So that's how that works, okay? Now, the media, which gives us so many different perspectives, remember, playing with perspectives, the ability to create play. That's what the media is supposed to be. Its main focus should be that. But in all of those social institutions, all three of these perspectives exist. Well, I should say all four. There's the business of church, business of government, the business of media. All of these things contain all of these things, but it's a matter of the focus. And that's true in the family, where the father is known as more focused on teaching. Father loves what is teaching. The mother is to be loved, more about compassion. She loves with her heart. And the corpus callosum in the female brain is what what makes that more readily accessible. That immediate sense of how a child is faring, for instance, it's very important to the role to respond quickly and deeply. So there's Mother's Day, which we never forget, and Father's Day, which is terrific, but I don't think it can, Mother's Day, it's a little bit more important, in a way. There's people now, if you disagree with that, you can feel free because I love to think that the father role is just as important. There you go. So where do we go from here? Well, I'm trying to make sure that people understand all of the practices that I have learned from the different religious experiences that I've had that form this really effective practice. Gets disseminated, and that there are people who not only understand this, but practice it. And for those in-depth kinds of practice and experience, it might be good to go to the Facebook group. Their audio video is possible. And if I have time, I'm on there. When you're on there, I can help you out. Push. And the same thing. The same thing goes for I don't want to keep you too long. So I'm going to wrap this up. The thing that I usually say is this. In my videos, typically I will say this, and I'll say it again. You're not just in a world of wonder. You are part of that. Embrace it. Look, reflect within. That's one that needs to be done out loud. Believe it or not. So until next time, on another facet of this, I might address. And it's a little difficult here because I never know if you're new and you've already heard the thing. Do I need to repeat it? And then add to it? It makes very long videos. If I add to this, you're going to stay and listen to it. So go to the Facebook group. That way I can, subscribe to the channel. Go to the Facebook group. You know that you subscribed. And, then the instruction can be more potent and delivered directly to you from where you understand and what you've heard so far. And again, remember you're wonderful. Like the video if you do. Share it if you think others. And join me in the Facebook group. It's, very few people. This is new, so relatively new channel here. So let's make this happen. Why? Well, because it's empowering for you. It goes beyond just, people wanting to do therapy on you. It comes from an empowering journey, which I call a mystic journey, into yourself and into your full potentials. And your unique views are important. The universe needs a lot of views. So does your brain. So make sure you leave your comments. Again, remember you're wonderful. Tune in again. Thank you for your time.